Welcome to Triumphant Thursdays on Tea Time with Afternoon Social. Every Thursday, we talk to ladies who share their stories of achieving amazing things, big and small. They have overcome challenges, defied the odds, and made their dreams come true. Grab your favorite cup of brew and join us as we lift each other up and inspire each other to reach for the stars. Good afternoon, and welcome back to Tea Time with Afternoon Social. I'm Teresa Lauterbach, your host, and today here on Triumphant Thursdays, we have another exciting new guest. Her name is Dalene Higgins. She's the owner of Elevate Finances, a financial coach, and the host of Wealthy After 40 podcast. Hi, Dalene. How are you today?
Great, Teresa. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And today, I've got titled this episode, we're going to have a little fun with listening to what she says about retirement, and it's called Dalene's Debt-Defying Advice in Retirepreneurship. I tried to say that one. But she's going to explain how she retired at 50 and what it took to make it happen and becoming an entrepreneur. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dalene, and let you explain a little bit about financial freedom and give us some debt-defying advice.
Yes. So, yes, I retired a year ago last June, and I was fortunate to have a pension. So that was one of the pieces that allowed me to retire at the age of 50. But when I was about age 35, I realized that I did have that option. At the age of 48, technically was when I would very first have it. So I just started really getting focused on everything that was coming forward would lead me to having it as an option because, and I say an option because at the day I retired, I took a 40% cut in pay. So I had to be really focused and be really ready to take that cut. My daughter was only 7, so we still had all her, we did recreational stuff. She went through school activities as well as, soccer club activities and those types of things. But we just stayed really focused. If we did purchase a recreational vehicle, we just did it within reason and made sure we weren't overextending ourselves. But we did enjoy life, and I just kept stocking what I could away and managing our debt and, just staying really affordable. And so I had told my husband that it was about a year before I left. I said, you know what, I think it's time. And this was shortly after my mom had passed. And he's like, okay. And he had retired 3 years before myself. And so I said, I don't know when, but in the next year. So, as we're thinking about it, I realized that was probably the hardest part of retiring, was deciding exactly when. I mean, for years, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be this year, in 5 years or 10 years. And then all of a sudden it's come down to it. Now you have to pick a month and a day. So I'm like tossing all of these ideas around. I'm like, okay, I'll go in a year. And that would have been October. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to wait that long. He's like, okay, just let me know,
Yeah.
And and so then my next date was, I said, I'll go on my mom's birthday, which was also her death date. And then that's August 1st. I'm like, well, why am I going to wait till the end of summer to go when technically all I had to stay through, and not even technically, I could have gone at any time, but to make a full year was May 6th. So the earliest I could go was May 15th. So I chose to go June 1st of 2022. And so I set that in stone. Well, it was about March, and I'm like, I told my bosses, I said, okay, I'm retiring on June 1, getting everything fulfilling shoes and all of that as I left. Mm-hmm. And I got thinking, can I really do this? Can I financially really do this? And so I had prepped a budget for retirement, and I'm like, okay, it's all there. It seems to be working out. But then I realized, okay, I'm taking home 60% roughly of my paycheck is what I would be taking home. So I calculated that what I was actually taking home, and I was taking home 57%. With everything I was sucking away to savings, everything they were taking out for taxes and all those others. So I'm like, yes, I can do this. So that was one assurance. I mean, obviously, it's just like when you buy a home. I don't know about you, but I was always, can I make that first house payment? It was kind of that same thing, right? You still have to be able to show yourself you can do it the first time. So, so headed into it. And prior to that, I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know that I'm ready to sit home all day, do nothing, and so I tossed around a whole bunch of ideas, like volunteering here, volunteering there, what did it look like? And I just knew that I didn't want to do the time clock for somebody else. That, so if I was going to work for myself, I wouldn't have that. And so I ended up coming across the financial coaching. And as I was thinking about that, I realized, you have just reached your financial dream, your goal, all that feeling. And why can't you turn around and help other people find that? Whether it is financially or retiring early, but it might be something different. Who knows? I was talking with a potential client this morning, and she's like, I want to own 100 doors in 6 years, and so it's like everybody has a dream. And I was like, I think I can make a difference by working with individuals like that. So that's how I became a financial coach a year ago. And so for 32 years prior to that, I worked in the government sector. We don't have to market. We don't have to, do any of these things. I did teach cops how to budget. That's what I was doing. So I know that part of it. But, becoming an entrepreneur and figuring out the marketing and figuring out, the CRMs, your back office, and managing everything and setting up a schedule for yourself and what do you need to be doing exactly, and it's been a really growing experience, but I have absolutely loved it. I have absolutely loved the growth, and I'm grateful that I made this choice. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful time. I am an avid reader. And so I was like, okay, I want to be able to read a little more than I was able to working a full-time job. So I'm really just working it as a part-time job and trying to enjoy the freedom of my time now, because I do have that freedom of the money. And I just really have enjoyed the, what do I even want to call it? The lax mornings, getting up, taking your time. There's not a rush. You don't have to hurry and get ready and hurry and leave and get out, to meet a certain time, and then hurry home, make dinner, do all the things at night, for the next day. And so it's been really enjoyable that way as well.
So for others, how would they get prepared for that? Just savings or watching your budget, or what's the best advice to putting that together so they would have the finances to retire?
Yes. Yeah. So, it's probably all three of those. But really the budget is your driver. I was thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, like budgeting to retirement. You've got to budget to, number one, know what you're spending on, know how to reach your goals. And so I think if you can learn to budget and then budget that with the goal you intend in mind. So say we're that potential client I was talking to this morning about, the 100 doors, you've got to put that in your budget somewhere. It's got to start building that out. And then the means of where that goes, right? Whether it's savings or paying off debt is where it goes from there. But all of that's in your budget, and it's your plan to tell you how to do that. I believe, managing your budget or your debt to keep your, going into retirement, that you don't have as much expected outgo, that you can retain what you need to, and then, have that as well. And then definitely your savings. You've got to build that up. If you don't have the option of a pension, then you're going to have to, work with your 401s or your Roths. And those have year limits on it, right? You have to be 59 and a half. So if you're wanting to do before that, you're going to have to look at your other, stocks and bonds that are outside of that in different places. But yeah, you just start to identify what your number is. And to get to that number, you need to know what you're going to be living off of. So and I know people use a lot of you need 80% of what you have in retirement. So that's what they shoot for. To me, that can be an overshot. Obviously, I was living on, 57% and I got 60%. So, there's a lot of manipulation you can do, but only if you know what your budget is. Only if you can, keep it controlled and know where it's going. And I found the more that I budgeted, the more I wanted to budget. the more I wanted to direct where my funds were going and what they were doing for me. And so that there's a lot of measurement in, your savings and your growing and watching that. I typically never did watch it until the year before I was retiring. I'm like, oh, am I doing okay? Oh, am I doing okay? And you get that volatility in there, and it can be scary, especially if you're hoping for it. But yet, at least checking up on it once a month, just to see where you are. Are you headed up? Are you headed in the right direction? And if you're that type of person that you can go, oh yes, I am, and that's enough motivation to keep going, then that's something you're going to want to keep measuring and keep doing. So as your debt comes down, your savings goes up, your budget can be directed. And the other a powerful thing I found is that, my household is very simplistic on what we spend. And even now what we spend, it's just the things we actually enjoy and need. So I think that's very powerful through budgeting too.
Yeah, about living on, because we can't guarantee what the inflation is going to be. So you're going to have to prepare for that as well. Because what you're saving for today and can live on today may not be the same 10 years down the road. So
exactly. So
go up and down the pandemic. So
yeah. Well, and last year because I retired in May, the end of May, and then everything in June was moved out, I literally lost half of what I had earned, but it was just that timing. And now I've gained it all back with the gains. And so that's what I mean is sometimes you don't want to be checking it often, but you need to have measurements in place and know you are at least headed in the upward direction, even if it's a very slow creep, right? So and then with inflation, being able to plan for that, that's really through savings is how you do that. And so everything you learn as you're working and earning money that way really can transfer to when you're retired and you're getting money in a different way. I don't get bonuses or raises or anything like that. Luckily, they do give us cost of living within increments. And so that is supportive as well. But yet, you just got to plan and prepare and stay on top of it. So.
Yeah, and you decided to go into your own business, which will bring more income in, but it's not as taxing as going to work every day.
Right. Yep. So and so I chose to do it really to, take up time, and then it will earn income. I'm hoping to at least offset the costs to be able to, support other people. My nephew just had a house fire, and if I had been in a better financial position, not that I'm in a bad one, to be able to just give him some money and say, here, no more worries. You have the worry your house got on fire, but here's some money and there's no more worries that way. So potentially that's, we were talking before we jumped on recording, and it was like, I thought I had everything figured out, and I did up until I reached my financial dream. And then it's like, okay, life's not over. What are your next goals? What are your next dreams? And realizing that you've got to keep planning and keep moving forward. And so, I think having a business will help me do a lot of different things and reach a lot of different people and be able to create something that I probably never even dreamed of.
Right. Because if you retire at 50, if you think about it, if you live to 80 or even 90, you've got 30, 40 more years. What do you do at that time?
Exactly.
So jumping into a business and things where, especially now that we were talking about being online, you don't have to worry about overhead and inventory and all of that. You can just go online and do all your business and work 4 hours a week. That's what you work.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so, all of that freedom, and it's my hours, it's my schedule, I can fit it in. And talking about online, the last year, I have met some amazing people, including my biz bestie. We met last July, and we jump on Zoom once a week and have ever since I met her. And I have met my soul sister, and then my mastermind partner, and just some other amazing people in between. And then had I not ventured into entrepreneurship, I wouldn't have had that experience and had that joy of meeting those people. And so that has been a great thing as well. So
right, I've interviewed people from all over the world, and from Canada and Australia, Africa. So it's really cool to really learn and get to so-called travel and meet all these lovely ladies.
Yes.
Well, do you have one more piece of advice for everyone before we go today?
Create your dream and go for it. I think, growing up when we were little and we were just, or if you think about your grandkids or your kids and they just have that imagination and they dream to the moon, to the stars or whatever, do that. Do that for yourself and make a plan and shoot for it.
Well, thank you, Dalene. This is a wonderful information and talk from here on Triumphant Thursdays. So join us tomorrow on Thursday, Fridays, and she gave us a hint that she loves to read. So tomorrow we're going to hear a little bit more about her fiction fanaticism. So thank you again, Dalene, for being here on Triumphant Thursdays, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.